A few weeks ago I uploaded a video showing me AFKing to round 300 and it performed well. In that video I tried to see if I could get a setup as early as possible and then use it to go completely AFK to round 300. So let's see what I did in that video. To begin, I started with your average normal everyday farming, and then I quickly pivoted to Chinook farming. I used the Steel's guide, and at this point, you all know who he is. It's this guy, and he creates excellent Chinook guides. Actually, he's the only one who's created a Chinook guide, therefore, it's the best. As you can see here, I then transitioned to selling all of my Chinooks for a stronger farming setup, and then at round 62, I finally get down my defense. Although it's 74, I modify it, so technically my official score in that video was 74. From round 74, I got AFK to round 300. And did I succeed? Of course I did. I had 5 Paragons in a VTSG, but the point of this challenge is to beat round 300. We're not trying to destroy round 300. Me annihilating all the fortified bads before they got to the first log is completely over the top. That setup is way stronger than what's necessary. And come on, do I really have to say it? Why do I have a VTSG when a TSG is enough? I mean, that's just a blatant waste of money. But before coming up with our final setup, let's see the mistakes of the previous one. Since we're only defeating the fortified bads 1/8 of the way through the map, technically we can make our setup 8 times weaker and still have enough track length to defeat fortified bads. So theoretically we could remove half of our Paragons and still make it. We could turn the VTSG into a TSG and still make it. Technically we don't need Paragons at all, they're way too expensive and we can use that money on other higher damaging towers. So for this run we are not going to be getting any Paragons, they're simply too expensive. Even the Dart Paragon, and because it's weak, then it's not even that worth it. Second of all, the VTSG. Do we really need the other sacrifices for the VTSG? No! We just need a support True Sun God. That saves us the Legend of the Night, the Anti-Balloon, and over $250,000 worth of sacrifices, because all we need is support category sacrifices to buff our tier 4s. I can also remove the tax zone since it doesn't do enough damage, and I can remove the call to arms, because Homeland Defense, even if it's up only 50% of the time, that's already a 50% increase in attack speed for all non-Paragon towers. Adding an extra $30,000 tower for an extra 25% sounds worth it, but realistically, I don't think it's necessary, because 50% is all we need. The footage you're watching right now is the farming for this new run that I'm doing. And meanwhile, I'm going to explain what tier 4 we're actually going to use. So, here's the thing. There are several tier 4s that we can use for late game, but 2 of them stand out above the rest. Sun Temples and Ninjas. Now, since Sun Temples are extremely expensive, and I'm also going to have to pour in more for the sacrifices, Ninjas are going to be the best for this run because they respond better with damage and attack speed buffs. Shinobis give them like plus 530% attack speed, and as well as this, Ezili can buff them with her totem, giving them all extra range, which the Sun Temples can do, but they have to be more spread out, meaning the totem will hit less temples. So Ninjas are going to be what we're going to get. But how many do we need? Now, in this run, I farmed a little over $1 million. After this, I realized that H-Bomb, a few months ago, made a video where he tried to get to round 300, while only spending less than $1 million. And I remember commenting on that video, and H-Bomb hearted it, and he also replied. But then someone else commented, and that person was LT Koro. Koro? How do you pronounce that name? Look, mate, if you're watching, just tell me how to pronounce your name, because I have no idea how. But that's besides the point. The point I'm trying to make is that LT Koro did this challenge with ninjas, but also without abilities. So he didn't have Homeland Defense, or Ezili's Totem, or Grand Saboteur, or any of those to help him. He did this with Gwendolyn because of her passive abilities, and the True Sun God to buff everything. So every ability that I add to my setup will decrease the amount of ninjas that I have to have on the field. This includes both Shinobis and Buinjitsus. So what buffs can I add that can take away ninjas? The first one is obviously Ezili's Totem, and her Hex just makes everything so much easier. The second one is going to be the Grand Saboteur. which both buffs the range of shinobis, making them buff more of my bloon jutsus, but also decreases the amount of health that every bloon spawns in with by 25%. This happens for any bloon of any health of any round. The last one is Homeland Defense, which increases the overall DPS of the setup by 50%. This is because the ninjas are attacking twice as fast but only half the time, which overall adds up to a 50% buff. I'm not going to show you most of the Chinook farming, mostly because it really is just an hour of me sitting there waiting for the balloons to hurry up and reach the end of the track. But overall, by the end of round 39, after selling all of my helicopters, I have $1,054,545. A little over $1 million, but whatever, this should be enough. Actually, this is enough, because no matter what I do, I can just default to copying Ninja for Ninja LT Koro setup, because I know it is guaranteed to get me to round 300. I'm in the challenge editor here, so that I don't have to, every time I mess up my setup and go back in, I can just buy and resell. I'm in the challenge editor here, and the reason why is honestly pretty normal. I decide to go into challenge editor for the rest of the run, which I think is fair, mostly because every time I mess up the setup, I don't want to exit out and go back in and then have to resell my entire defense. So I'm just going to start at round 40, 1,054,545 money. And after an embarrassing amount of fails at making the setup, including a trip to the Bloons wiki for some reason, this is the final setup. As you can see, I have a true sun god buffing all of my ninjas with overclocks for all of them, and a central market at the very top to generate more lives so I can use Azili's totem ability. I've learned from last time. Now, as you can see, this is quite idiotic. Do you know why? Because instead of wasting my money on overclocks, I could have just gotten so many more ninjas. That's probably a $200,000 mistake right there. And also, because I have to get down overclocks, I have to waste a round waiting for them to activate. So technically, I don't start at round 40, I start at round 41, which, oh great heavens, that is another time deficit. Although I think we can all agree it is way more optimized than round 74 from last time. So now, this is the setup that we have. It has some flaws and I can definitely improve on it, but overall it's much better than the garbage I had last attempt. The only thing left to do is to montage our way to round 300. Because I'm going to be honest, if I try to speed up the 5 hours of footage that I have, that is not a joke by the way, then my laptop is going to completely explode. So, enjoy the montage, I guess. Turns out I AFK'd for 10 minutes too long, and I actually made it all the way to 302 before coming back to my laptop, realizing that my setup was too strong, and then I exited out. And so, here are all the pop counts. Starting off strong with Grandmaster Ninja, aka Hank Go, max level adult fans know what I'm talking about, at 380 million. A lot of the ninjas actually surpassed 100 million, especially the ones closer to the beginning of the track. but the ones further away didn't do as much because realistically, the bads barely even got to them. Like, these ninjas are extremely powerful. I'm surprised that the Super Brittle got 8 million pops. Straya, aka my Boomerang, got 10 million, the Heli got 6 million, and my first Temple got 80 million, and here, Galaxy, the queen of the show, at 885 million pops. And of course, we have my capitalized bank, two unupgraded engineers that I forgot to turn into overclocks, and finally, we have my overclocks, tech bots, and shinobis. And yeah, that's basically it for my second ever attempt. I mean, this one was a lot more optimized than my last run. I will say that I am happy with the improvement, although I definitely could improve this a lot more by switching out the overclocks for more ninjas. But still, there's one more thing I'd like to test, one more run that I'm going to do. You see, the biggest money waster isn't the overclocks, and it isn't all the other towers. You see, the biggest money waster is right in front of us. And that begs the question, is the true sun god really necessary?